Pittsburgh Steelers fans, it is time once again for another edition of Pittsburgh Steelers Fact or Fiction. My name is Bryan Anthony Davis. I'm the podcast producer here at BehindTheSteelCurtain.com. And on this Memorial Day's Eve, I would like to let us remember what this day is all about and thank all of your friends and family, everybody, whether it's a relative, whoever, even people we don't know, that gave the ultimate sacrifice for our country. So I would like to say happy Memorial Day to those and let us remember all of those that paved the way to the freedoms that we have today. So thank you so much. My name is Bryan Anthony Davis once again, and it is time for Pittsburgh Steelers Fact or Fiction. Hopefully, a lot of you do not have to go to work tomorrow and you have an extended holiday. Some of us do have to work, so be safe, my friends. And it is great to hear from you. And like I always say, if it's the off season and you're hanging out with me on a Sunday, whether it be in the morning or whether it be in the evening, but it's May and you could be doing so many cool things and you choose to talk about the black and gold with me, that's pretty awesome. So thank you much. You bleed black and gold, and you are a true Pittsburgh Steelers fan. There are a lot that wait until the season, and that's okay. That doesn't mean that they love the Steelers any less. They just don't thrive and don't live for it to hear about it every single second of the day like some of us are cursed with, and I feel like that too. But one of the things that I am so blessed for is the fact that I can talk about this all the time, and this is what I do. And I get to not only produce my own shows, but every other show. And we have some more exciting things coming up, especially in the new season, and it's something that we're working on as we speak. Last Memorial Day was my first show that I ever produced. So Jeff was getting ready to leave. I sat on his front porch and he taught me how to put a show together. And my first show took me an hour and a half to put together. And then now I do 2 or 3 a day, and it's just click, 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 click. Do this and I'm there. So it feels really good. Snowman loves my shirt. Yes, I have a Hall & Oates shirt on. Don't tell Jeff Hartman. Jeff Hartman has a problem with John Oates because he sang the national anthem before the Steelers and Jaguars. That I believe was 45-42, if I'm not mistaken, in January of 2018 to end that 2017 brilliant season for the Steelers. And he blames the loss on John Oates. So I'll just pull the shirt down. Yeah, this was one of my Christmas gifts this year. And I think it's a classic pose from those guys. So I figured that would be a fun one to wear today. It's also Memorial Day, and I wanted to bring up, and I brought this up on one of my articles that I wrote today. I would like to go ahead and say rest in peace to some Hollywood legends. And one would be, well, not really a Hollywood legend, but a entertainment legend. BJ Thomas passed away last night at the age of 78. And if you don't know BJ Thomas, BJ had the first number one of the 1970s. On January 3rd of 1970, Raindrops Keep Falling on My Head from the classic Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid from that movie. He hit number one with that song. And if you don't know that song, pull it up on iTunes or Spotify or wherever you pull up your music. It is just an absolute classic. Kind of makes you feel good. Kind of a nice little message in there. But also, if you're an 80s fan like me who loves pop culture of the 80s. Now, a guy who did a lot of theme songs was Alan Thicke. He did the theme songs for Different Strokes and Facts of Life. He wrote them and he performed in Different Strokes. But he had a sitcom of his own, and he did not do the theme song for it. BJ Thomas did it for Growing Pains. As Long as We Got Each Other. If I could hear it right now. Show me that smile again. That's BJ Thomas, if you did not know that. So also, my favorite show of the 1970s of course, I'm a big MASH fan. There's a lot of shows that I love, but I love the Mary Tyler Moore Show. And I just, along with Newhart was another one of my favorites. In fact, Bob Newhart is one of my all-time absolute favorites. But another one of my favorites, and you guys know these guys well because of movies like Elf, and they're still around today. In fact, my gosh, Ed Asner, who played Lou Grant, he was in Up. He was Santa Claus in Elf. Bob Newhart was in Elf as well. He's Papa Elf. But when I talk about those old shows, and this is what 2 a.m. is all about, talking about remembering stuff and talking about the fun side of our fandom. And when I think of that show, the Mary Tyler Moore Show, Mary was absolutely brilliant. There was a lot of, they mentioned the Steelers a few times in that show because the Vikings were their team of choice. But the one guy on that show that was Mary's buddy, he was the voice of reason for everything, was Murray Slaughter. And Murray was played by the great Gavin MacLeod. And a lot of you don't realize Gavin MacLeod went on right after that show ended. Because that show ended in 1976, maybe early 77. He went straight to the Love Boat. And he played the incomparable Captain Steubing. And Captain Steubing was your gruff captain, but he had a heart of gold. And he started off as like the guy everybody was afraid of. And here he was the captain with a heart. And everybody remembers Captain Steubing. And my wife and I just streamed. We like to put on TV shows, like happy TV shows, when we go to bed. And you just put it on and we let it run all night. I was used to complete silence, and now we let that stuff run all night. And if it was up to me, I'd run old Steelers games. But we've been running the Love Boat. And so I've had a lot of Gavin MacLeod lately. And when I heard that he passed away, I was, it made me feel like I lost a little bit of something. Because as fans, whether it be of the Steelers or TV show, pop culture, whatever it is. And George says he was on McHale's Navy. And somebody else told me he had a spot on Hawaii Five-0 as well. He was also on King of Queens late in his career as well, Gavin MacLeod. Whoever it is, if you have somebody that makes you feel really good and makes you remember the older times like that, that's what the Steelers do for me too. And these actors and actresses, the pop culture, the music, the Hall & Oates shirt, that's the kind of stuff that makes me think of my childhood and when things were simpler. So, and I think we've lost a lot of that. And the reason we've lost a lot of that is, well, it's simple. We have so many things going on now. Remember when everybody had to watch the Super Bowl? One of the reasons I became a Pittsburgh Pirate fan was we had 3 networks. And they were on the NBC affiliate. And that's where we watched the news on. That's the thing. You watch that stuff. And everybody watched that stuff. Now, you don't have to watch football on Thanksgiving. You could watch a stupid dog show. Yeah, you could watch a Cocker Spaniel trotting all over the place with some pompous person on a leash. Hey, here's my Cocker Spaniel. Check this out. Okay, my wife's going to yell. My mom will yell at me if she hears that too. But, that's kind of the thing. So back then, that was a golden time. Yeah, man, it really was for pop culture and stuff because you had less choices, which it's great to have choices. But when you have less choices, you get to know so much more about everything around you. So that's one of the things. But hey, let's get on to the Steelers. Man, I tell you what, I'm getting excited even more and more. Now, OTAs were this week. And the thing for me about OTAs is, like Jeff Hartman said, it's football in your underwear. But the best thing about football in your underwear, football in shorts, the best thing about that is you get to show off the basics. And if you saw a guy like Najee Harris and you weren't excited on draft day, got to be a little bit more excited with one-handed catches and how fast he looked and how fluid he looked. You got to get excited over a guy like Kevin Dotson when he's stepping up as a leader already. And he's talking to the media, and he's talking about Adrian Clem. And Russ Obenstein says, guys, I think offensive line is going to surprise people, fresh faces with no old habits and buying into Clem's physical, mean, and nasty attitude. That's what Kevin Dotson was talking about as well. He talked about how he needed to get better and how he wanted to learn more. But this is going to be back to what you think of with Pittsburgh Steelers football, a mean and nasty line. And I think Zach Banner, Jeff Hartman was talking about it on Let's Ride the other day. And he was mentioning that, this Zach Banner could be a leader for this team as well. And he really sounds like it. So I'm really excited for this entire thing. I'm really excited for the show. And when I say the show, I'm talking about the 2021 season, because it is going to be something to be remembered, because it's great when everybody, it's like Dirty Dancing. Nobody puts baby in a corner. Go ahead, put the Pittsburgh Steelers in a corner. Go and do it. That's fine. The chip is beautiful. The chip grows. It's not a tortilla chip. It's not a poker chip. It's not a cow chip. It's not a potato chip. It's not a chocolate chip. You know what it is? It's motivation, and this team has it. And that's what I'm excited for, to see this. Steeler Nation 412 says, what is up, Bad? How you doing? You see Kendrick Green working out today, lifting about 700 pounds. My gosh, this guy, he wants to prove something. He's like, hey, man, you guys talked. You talked about the Creed Humphreys and the Landon Dickersons and all these guys, and nobody thought about me. Well, the Pittsburgh Steelers had him on that list, and that's pretty awesome. Snowman says, any news on Kendrick Green's contract? Kendrick Green's contract is a formality. This is not the 90s or the 80s when guys held out. He's the slots make it kind of easy. You really don't have to worry about it. It's going to happen. It'll probably happen soon. He's the only one left. I'm not worried about it. Don't even lose sleep on it. It's going to be signed. I don't even know what's holding it up. It might be the team holding it up, and it has nothing to do with anything. But I'm pretty excited about guys like Kendrick Green. And I was at dinner at my buddy's house, a guy I love. He's a pessimistic Steelers fan. He's a pacer. He's a great guy. He knows his team. But the first thing he says when I say, hey, man, did you see Najee Harris? He goes, it doesn't matter how sleek Najee Harris looked. He has no line. I'm like, yeah, he has a line. Trust me, Najee has a line. Pouncey's not there, but you have another guy. And think about it. If Kendrick Green doesn't start, they're high on Kendrick Green. If he doesn't start, that means that's not a bad thing. And the reason it's not a bad thing, well, you could say bad, it could be a bad thing because it means he's not ready. Well, it means that they're going to let him learn a little bit more. And BJ Finney is fine to learn under. They know it's going to be Kendrick Green's job. It's probably going to be Kendrick Green's job at the end of 2021. He will be the starter sometimes in 2021, most likely. But BJ Finney could hold down that fort. So when Snowman and Russ say that the line's going to surprise some people, yeah, they definitely will. And I'm not worried about it. I talked about this the other day. And something that you said the other day is this. You said, not the other day, but something you said in the past about this offensive line. It's like, man, they need to get nasty. This offensive line needs to get back to the run blocking. That's what you wanted. They need to get back to the run blocking. What do? They take a guy who is a fantastic pass blocker and they let him walk. And that's Alejandro Villanueva. They get a guy back who, what did you complain about when you were worried about Zach Banner all along last year? Yeah, I just don't know if he could pass protect. Zach Banner's like, hey, I can pass protect. That's no problem. I only gave up 3 sacks of Sam Darnold in college. But what did you love about Zach Banner? You loved the fact that Zach Banner was your extra tight end. 72 is now eligible. He would come in. You knew they were going to run the ball. And man, he was good as a run blocker. You're worried about the pass blocking. We didn't get to see much of him. We saw 3.5 quarters of him last year. But I'm pretty comfortable with him running blocking. So we talked about the chicken or the egg thing with the line and the running back. But what I see here is you have a dynamic running game. And you don't think that those other runners are pumped up to show what they can. No one wants to be the guy left out. Jalen Samuel's like, man, I'm not going to be left out. I'm going to earn my job. I'm watching number 38 in some running videos. He looked pretty good. So did Benny Snell. Benny Snell looked really fluid in what I was looking at too. So all I'm saying is competition and doubt from the outside fuels a football player. And I'm excited that's why I'm excited about this team. So you could go ahead and pin number 9 on them. When I say number 9, the number 9 seed in the AFC, go ahead, do that. Fine. That's fine. I have no problem with that. Because when you tell me I can't do something, I'll be like, all right, game on. Game on is how I am. So what did you see in minicamp this week? I thought it was funny in not minicamp, OTAs. I thought it was really funny that nobody could tell you who was in OTAs and who did not attend. But they would show you video and go, oh, I'm showing you video. You can see who's not in this video. We have all the receivers here. And you're like, oh, I don't see a 19. I don't see an 18. I don't see an 11. Huh. Just made me laugh. So something else I want to talk about before we get into the main crux of the show, besides what you found significant in OTAs, is Ben Roethlisberger. Just talked about chips on the shoulder. Man, Ben Roethlisberger is going to have a major motivating chip on his shoulder because PFF, Pro Football Focus, what wangs. I got to tell you, I subscribe to them, but you're jerks. You know why I'm going to say that? They show him throwing a little 5-yard pass to Najee Harris, and they wrote, Big Ben working on his deep ball. Go ahead. That's fine. Say what you want to say. Go throw shade. Oh, he's old. He lost his arm. Then Mark Cabali comes on Twitter. And Ramon Foster. Oh, man, Ramon was ticked off. And so he came on. And he responded to Ramon Foster, the big Ragoo's response. And he said, well, I'm not allowed to say this, but I saw Ben connect some pretty nice 55-yard passes. So Ben can throw the deep ball. I just think that David Moya says that Ben throwing to Najee is serious. Oh, yeah. Najee's going to do some things that James Conner caught the ball well out of the backfield. James Conner does not have the fluidity and the elusiveness. And I love James Conner, but he doesn't have what Najee Harris has. So it's going to be interesting. So every Steeler Nation 412 says, I just laugh when people say Ben has a noodle arm. What was the big problem with Ben back? Let's talk about that noodle arm. Okay, look, I'm leaning in. Hand on the chin. Reason the hand's on the chin. Let's talk about that noodle arm. That noodle arm last year. You know what the problem with Ben Roethlisberger last year? It wasn't his lack of being able to throw the deep ball. It was the fact that he wasn't connecting on the deep ball. He was overthrowing receivers when he threw it deep. So there's something more of a maybe more of a touch. But man, with what they've put together, get excited. Definitely get excited about this. Another thing I know you're going to bring up, I'm going to bring it up quick. Julio Jones. Don't expect him to come to Pittsburgh. Chase Claypool thinks it would be awesome. Chase, if he does do that, you got to give up your number 11. Hey, but you get your college number back. You get 83. Nobody has it, and Ben trusts you. He'll let somebody have Heath Miller's number, and he'd let you have it. But he's not coming. I don't want him to come. Now, let me preface that. I would love a cheap Julio Jones, the real Julio Jones on the cheap and on that team. I would love it. But if you're going to spend money, you got to spend it elsewhere. But the thing you've got to spend to get Julio Jones or next year's draft, you got to sacrifice a good part of next year's draft. The team that's going to do it, I know everyone's talking Seattle right now. Michael Beck swears it's going to be in Indianapolis, but I am telling you, he's going to be in black and purple. Mark it down. They're going to pull something off, and they're going to get him cheap, and it's going to tick me off and all of you off, and they're going to do it. Will they win a ring with him? No, maybe not. But I just think it's going to happen. Andre Coleman says this, and I'm going to bring this up real quick. Andre, I love this. And this is true. And this is something I've been looking at as well. And now I can't seem to get it up. Here it is. Hey, Bad, remember this. Big Ben is 3,100 yards away from surpassing Marino and Rivers to be in the top 5 in passing yards all time. Yeah. Come on. Why are we throwing shade on this guy? Was it the fact that he was a punk early in his career and he was cocky? He didn't know how to handle it? And he didn't wear a helmet when he rode his motorcycle? Was it a fact that he was arrogant? Is that why everybody from outside the 412 hates this guy? I'm telling you what. He would have to do something so amazing to win the NFL MVP. There's no way they're ever going to let him have it. He would have to do something extraordinary and impossible, and he'd still struggle to win that. Because everybody wants to see Big Ben Roethlisberger fail. You can talk about the accusations earlier on in his career. If they're true, I will never excuse that. But a lot of the things that came out, you looked at and you could say, okay, I understand why this happened. And I get it, because if it was really true charges would have been charged. Let's put it that way. But I don't want to get on that. All I want to say is Big Ben and Stacey Lynn saying haters have to hate. That's the thing, man. We know what we have in Big Ben, and I'm comfortable with him this season. And I really am. Donald Nolan, you're right. Anthony Johnson is wearing 83. Anthony Johnson doesn't get to keep 83 if Chase Claypool wants it. Anthony Johnson's probably not making the team either. So that's but it's not going to happen. It's not happening. 11's not coming. We've got an 11, and I'm happy with our 11. So I'm going to talk to you in a little bit, but let's take a break. We're going to talk about some fun stuff, and we're going to talk about if you had an opportunity in different situations, what Steeler would you like to hang out with? Find out who I want to hang out with right after this on Tales from 2 a.m. from BehindTheSteelCurtain.com. Stick around. Welcome back to Tales from 2 a.m. From BehindTheSteelCurtain.com. My name is Bryan Anthony Davis. If you're joining us here on Facebook or YouTube, Thanks so much. If you are not joining me live and you're checking us out on any of our audio-only platforms, I'm so glad you're just as important. I can't say your name because I don't see your name, but I know you're there, and I got to tell you, I appreciate you. Garrett Slingerland gave us $5 in a super chat, and he said, I'd rather see Chase become the next Julio. And I think that's the most important thing. I really like what they have, and I like the personnel they have. If they bring in another piece of the puzzle, I'd like it to be on defense, really, at this point. I don't think they need Russell Okung that will only play for Bitcoin, which I think is really funny. I don't need that guy. I think this team is where they need to be, and they need to have a full camp. But I'd bring somebody in corner, and I would bring somebody elsewhere as well. Dave, I've been checking my email. I'll look again today. I promise. I have not seen it come through unless I'm missing it altogether. I will let you know, though. So we're going to have some fun with this. And if you had a chance to check out Touchdown Under yesterday, they were having some difficulties with internet connection. Mark Davison did a fantastic job keeping the ship afloat. I know Matt was having problems with his internet connection and don't know what was going on, but they always have really good connection. So, but they did a pretty good job. And one of the questions, one of the questions that was asked is, if you had a chance to take anybody from BTSC to a Steeler game, who would you take? And I will say this. I'm flattered that a lot of people said my name. I would go to a Steeler game with any one of you. So I appreciate it. But it got me to thinking. And it got me to thinking about an interview we had with Zach Banner last year. And Dave Schofield mentioned it to Zach Banner, says, hey, we were joking around about what Steelers we would go to Vegas with, and I picked you. And he goes, oh, man, I go to Vegas with you guys. That'd be a lot of fun. And I'm like, all right. I said, Zach Banner, I've got your back. No problem. And he laughed. So here's my question to you. In different situations, who would you want to hang out with on the Pittsburgh Steelers? Now, it could be so many different things. So if you're going to bring somebody up, that's fine. But I want you to do this. I want you to bring up who you would like to take somewhere and where you'd like it to be. If you want to take a cooking class with Tyson Alualu, that's what I want to hear. If you want to go hunting with David DeCastro, if you want to go to Vegas with Zach Banner, if you want to go fly fishing with Minka Fitzpatrick, tell me why. I think that would be a lot of fun. Who would you want to go down a dark alley with you? I've got the answer to that. I've had this answer all along. If I'm going down a dark alley, Garrett asked, "Can they be previous players?" If you want, I'm keeping it on the roster now. But if I'm going down a dark alley with one of the current Pittsburgh Steelers, you know who I'm taking? Vince Williams. Is he the biggest? No. Is he the baddest? Yeah. No one's messing with Vinny Vidi Vici. I'm telling you that right now. That's who I'm going down a dark alley with. If I want to go to a comedy club, I'm taking TJ Watt. I think he'd be a lot of fun. And plus, he'd be a great wingman for me. Not that I'm looking to pick up women. I'm happy. But if it was back in the 2 a.m. days, I'd be taking TJ with me, and we'd score some digits. They might be the wrong digits. TJ would get the right digits. I'd probably get like the local dry cleaning store. But That'd be a lot of fun. So Terry is asking me, hey, bad, quick question. My beautiful girlfriend believes you may be Brian Fox that worked here in Cumberland at WTBO. Is that so? No, I've never worked in Cumberland. Now, I used to be Brian Fox. I was Brian Fox in Johnstown, Pennsylvania, and Elkins, West Virginia as well. But I was Brian Fox for a number of years. I took a different name. My real name is Bryan Anthony Davis, but I was Brian Fox for a long time. Terry, I'm glad you brought that up, but no, I've never worked for WBTO. So there's another Brian Fox. I'm sure he's cooler than me, but I'm not him. Let's see. David Moya wants to take a ballet class with Zach Banner. And I'm looking for someone to have my back anywhere. I'm taking Minka because he'll be there in 2.3 seconds. Love it. Michael O'Malley wants Dotson for the alley. I'd like to hunt with Ben and shoot the stuff. Gosh, that's funny. I think we have another super chat that's come up here too. As man, my computer keys are sticking. Dave Shipley, my man, Dave Shipley, Greg Lloyd, and sorry about the delay, but what it is Hayward. I'm not sure. Jeff Dunn grew up in Altoona. I am from Johnstown, PA. I grew up in Johnstown, born and raised. Love it. Oh, thanks, Dave, for the $5. I appreciate it. Snowman wants to hang out with Zach Banner. Russ, we're dogs. My friend was doorman, Hines, and well, we're playing big time. Thaddeus wants to go hunting with James Washington. Man, that's a good one. You'd want to do that country stuff. Man, he went duck hunting all the time with Duck Hodges when he was here. Ben Harris wants to go painting with Hines Ward. Congratulations to Hines Ward. They've got a child on the way. McEldew wants to hang out with Bud Dupree. Mark Tobin says Brian was a double agent. That's why he changed his name. LOL. Here's the thing. I wasn't going to change my name. And then I was almost Brian Malone because I loved the show Cheers. And I was thinking of Steeler names, but I didn't want to be like Brian O'Donnell or Brian Foster. Brian Foster actually would have been cool. But I'm trying to think back in that time. No, Foster was a rookie, so I probably didn't know him that well back then. But 1990 is when I first got into radio. I was 18 years old. And so they told me, look, you got to change your name because you'll get a lot of phone calls at home. And the real Brian Fox got a lot of phone calls at home. So I always felt bad for that guy. But I did get some really entertaining mail. I got pictures like crazy that I wouldn't show my mom. Let's just put it that way. I would get all kinds of stuff. Garrett Slingerland, I want to take Barry Foster out for a drink with my dad. He was my dad's favorite player. Oh, man, that's so cool, Garrett. And my dad got me into football as an escapism tool that brought me out of my battle with depression. And we're going to talk about that definitely more. Garrett, be on the Father's Day show because we want to talk about that. We talked about that, how moms got us into. There's some moms that got us into football too. And we talked about that on Mother's Day as well. But yeah, that's why I love the Steelers so much. And that's why I love pop culture, because it kind of gets you out. It kind of gets you out of it is an escapism. And it's great. Dave Shipley wants Hayward to have his back and Lloyd all the time. Yeah, man. Those guys, man, he would have your back. Definitely. Garrett Slingerland. As far as the alley goes, I'll be taking Banner with me. He's got that thug mentality. Plus, he's funny too. He talked his way out of it. Ross wants to go hunting with Ben Kissel. I'm sorry. That's probably Ben and Kiesel and Heath. Dave Schofield, the Oracle. It's WTBO. It's not Bachman Turner Overdrive. WTBO. Man, I said BTO. I guess I was thinking, you ain't seen nothing yet. Baby, you just ain't seen nothing yet. Jeff Dunn says, my mom got me into football. That's great. And look at the celebration here. Oracle in the house. And Dave, on the show yesterday, got to tell Dave Schofield this. On the show yesterday, when Maddie and Mark were trying to figure out from a super chat, everybody that would want to go, what BTSC personality you would want to go to a Steeler game with, I got about 7-8 votes, Dave. You got one. They're all going with me. But I tell you what, I'll let you ride shotgun. Somebody said they'd go with me and you, Dave. So that would be a lot of fun. Man, that was a crowded game when Dave and I went that one year. Percy would go down a dark alley with Cam. I got a nice happy Memorial Day bad from my man Wes. Thank you. Russ says, I want to meet Troy to sign my on-field brand jersey I have of his. That's pretty cool. Troy, just see, I would love to go to dinner with Troy. Troy's a guy I would love to go to dinner with. I think he would be one of those guys that would love to talk about the food and the experience of the taste, and the conversation would be thought-provoking. That's what I would like that's why I would like to do something like that with Troy. That'd be great. So let's see. Felicia, he wants to go. Felicia, good to see you. I'm laughing. I got to take you off here real quick. Yeah, Dave Schofield and I did spoon at the Buffalo Steelers game. It was so tight. Felicia, I would go to a hockey game with Arthur Moats. I would go shoe shopping with Joe Hayden. I would barbecue with Ben. That's great. What would you do with Devin Bush? I think I'd go to a club with Devin Bush. You know why? Because remember that get up that he wore at the draft when he was drafted to the Steelers? That was amazing. Jeffrey Benedict. Oh, he's sad. Come on. Somebody would go to it. I think somebody mentioned that they would go to a game with Jeffrey Benedict. I know I would go to a game with Jeffrey Benedict. Absolutely, I would. So if Jeff buys the tickets, we'll start. Donald said this. There you go. Michael O'Malley saying I'd go Jeffrey. Donald Nolan, you were my pick along with Bad. I appreciate that. That's awesome. Bowling with Troy. You know who you don't go bowling with? You don't go bowling with Jerome Bettis. You don't do that. That guy has rolled 300s. He is a phenomenal bowler. You know who else is a phenomenal bowler? He's probably bowling right now is my man, Tony Defio. He is a fantastic bowler. I remember we would do like post-game shows, and he'd be like, well, I got to go bowling first. I'd be like, that's cool. Dave's going to says he'll go to a game with Jeffrey. Now everybody wants to go to a game with Jeffrey. Steelers Pittsburgh, I'd go with Jeffrey and Big Brosco. But now we talked about who would you go to Disneyland with? What Steeler would you go to Disneyland with? That would be a lot of fun, because that's the most fun place on earth. And I know I asked this question to Dave Schofield before. Who did Dave say? Dave, if you could remember that, throw that up there, because that was a lot of fun. Thaddeus Kennedy, I met Amos Zaraway at his restaurant in New York. I did not know he had a restaurant. Super, super nice guy. I remember him. I was living in West Virginia when he was there. When he was at the University of West Virginia, when he was a Mountaineer, I had tickets. I'd go a lot. Great guy. You know, I tell you what, one guy that I would hang out with that was not a Steeler, speaking of West Virginia University, Pat McAfee. That's it. Yes, Dave was going to take Juju, and Stacy Lynn agrees with him too. I would go to Disney with Juju. Yeah, Dave's right. He would be the most fun at Disney. I really think that. I've had an opportunity to meet a bunch of Steelers over the years, and they were all cool to me. Every single one I met, I really liked. Some I liked more than others. Some wanted to talk a whole lot more. I was surprised how much Terry Bradshaw wanted to talk. You know who was super cool? And this was before the big hit, but it was AB, man. When I met Antonio Brown, he was super nice. I enjoyed talking to him when I had the opportunity to. I had another guy that I absolutely loved was Shamarko Thomas. He was a super great guy. You know, they're something that I'll never forget about these guys. And I say it all the time. You know, we could talk about their prowess on the field. Shamarko didn't work out, but my gosh, they're human beings that they're trying to get by at a completely different level. Jeff Dunn didn't have as good as an experience with AB. I did. I actually did. Donald Nolan says Robert Golden, really good guy. I have a great picture of my son, Connor, when he was about 4 years old with Ben Roethlisberger. And it's funny because Connor's holding on tight to this pretzel. And so I sent it to Ben. And I got it back signed. It's amazing. It was so cool. So we have that hanging up. It's me, Connor, and Ben and an autograph signing. And he's holding it up. And he's shaking Connor's hand in the picture. And the fact that he signed it, that's something I will never forget. Felicia, this is a good question, Felicia. If you go to the Legends of Pittsburgh Steelers cruise, you can vacation with past and present Steelers. I have been twice. Felicia, who was your absolute favorite past and present when you went on those cruises? And who was the coolest? I would love it. I think that would be so much fun. Percy met Ben at a bar in Virginia. Said he was a lot of fun to be around. Ryan Clark was a great one to meet. Let me tell you about Ryan Clark. Jeffrey Benedict wants to visit Jeff Hartman with Jordan Berry. Speaking of Cumberland, Maryland, somebody brought up Cumberland, Maryland earlier. And we were at an autograph signing, and I was helping a friend. I used to help friends with autograph signings, and they did a lot of Steelers. And we were working there, and it was draft day of 2007. And I remember he kept on yelling over to me on draft day. He was like, who did we get? Did we go yet? Who did we get? Because I was paying attention to it. And when I told him about Lawrence Timmons, he was like, yeah. And he's like, oh, man, I got to get out of here. So as soon as it was over, he's like, I got a jet. I got to get back to my family in Virginia. I've got a long drive. And he's running away. Then he stops. And my sister's there with my nephew, who was, my gosh, he was born in November of 2006. And this was April. So he was almost 6 months. And he stops. This guy's in a super hurry. He sees this baby. He's like, oh, man, I miss my girls. Can I hold your baby? Can I see your baby? And he stopped. We said, yeah. So he picked up, we got a picture of him with the baby. And I took that picture, and I need to send that to Ryan Clark to have him sign it. I think that would be super cool. He was awesome. And so that's the thing, man. He just couldn't wait to get back to his kids, but he had a chance to see another baby, and he wanted to fuss over it. That was pretty awesome. You know, this was just meant to be a fun show. We talked a lot about the Steelers in the first half. Jeff Dunn met Greg Lloyd too. Man, so I was in an autograph session, and I knew the girl that was signing with, when she was signing, she was taking the tickets for Greg Lloyd. She's like, "Hey, Brian, what's up?" And I had Greg's son. I said, "Mr. Lloyd, just quick pleasantries." And then he felt like he knew me. And so he's coming out of it, and all these people are running up to him, like trying to get a free autograph. And this is an autograph signing. That's kind of not cool, not what you do. And then he comes over and says, "Hey, man, good to see you again." And comes up and just starts talking to me. I'm like, that's pretty awesome. And because I wasn't bothering him. The same thing happened. Something happened that they took Ryan Shazier off the floor early, and a lot of people that had tickets in the time frame, and I was one of them, didn't get a chance to get their autograph. And we paid $50 at the time for Shazier's autograph. And so people were being jerks. They really were. Like, we paid this money and blah, blah, blah. Like, relax. They're going to go get them. And so he came back out of the curtain where he was signing autographs for the dealers at the time. Because when they leave there, they have to go in the back, and they sign so many helmets, so many footballs, all this stuff, 8x10s. So he comes back out, and people are like being hard on him, like, "Man, where'd you go?" and all this. I'm like, and this was right after his rookie season. So I kind of waited till I backed up a little bit. I waited till last when there was nobody behind me. And I went up to him and I said, and he wasn't taking pictures with anybody. It wasn't a picture situation. And I went up to him and I said, "Hey, man, don't worry about all these other people. Like, I get a great joy of watching you on the field, and I can't wait to see you next year. So thanks for all you do." He put his arm around me and said, "Hey, you want a picture? Thanks a lot." And the picture, I'll never forget that picture. I absolutely love it. And it was just a great moment. And you treat these guys the way they want you to treat them. And don't forget that they're human like us too. Their paycheck might be elevated. Their problems are elevated too. So just we had a lot of fun talking today. And that's what Tells from 2 a.m. was all about. Man, we did get a chance to talk about a lot of current Steelers stuff and OTAs, and that's going to be a lot of fun. But it's fun to talk about this stuff. And hey, you might be able to go to Disneyland with Juju someday. You might be able to go hunting with James Washington. You never know. You absolutely never know. And Felicia says that Moats shouts out on his show sometime to Felicia. That's awesome. We need to get Arthur Moats on this show just to hang out and talk. That guy's a lot of fun. I think that'd be great. But anyways, I love you all. Remember what Memorial Day is all about. And remember that tomorrow when we celebrate that day. And I want to say one last thing. When I think about Memorial Day, I think about the people that came before us and even the people now. And, it's, we think about people like Pat Tillman at this time because we know about Pat Tillman. But I want to bring up somebody named Ashley White. And I am very good friends with Ashley's brother and her sister-in-law. And she worked with the Army Rangers back in, I believe it was 2012 or so. And she caught some fire and passed away. There was a book written about her called Ashley's War. There is possibly a movie coming out. Reese Witherspoon's production company bought the rights to it. That movie's supposed to be made. Last year they had a special on Memorial Day about Gold Star families, and Ashley was featured. She was also featured on Veterans Day on the NBC Nightly News just last year. And she gave her life for this country. And there's a lot of division in this country right now. And I get that. And I know that. But we can't forget the people that have given their lives for this country. And we thank them. So If you don't have an Ashley White in your life, if you don't have a family member or you don't know of anybody that made that ultimate sacrifice for this country, that's what Memorial Day is all about. So if you get a chance to look up some of these people's lives online for Memorial Day, take about 15 minutes to look some people up. Take about 15 minutes to look up an Ashley and know what these sacrifices are all about. I love her family. I've never met her. I love her family like they're family to me. We get together before Christmas every year. We just got together a couple of weeks ago. You just don't know what it's like if you haven't lost somebody in that capacity that was fighting for us. So that's what Memorial Day is about for me. And I wanted to share, it's not a memory, I just wanted to share that story. And thank you so much for listening to that. And look up some of these people that gave their lives while in the military. Michael O'Malley says, lost a few shipmates since I served in one Doring. Happy Memorial Day. That's what it's about. Look, I will have a burger or a dog. I will cook out on Memorial Day. McEldew lost one of his best friends. We do that. It's a day off. But it's a day off for a reason. And if you know why it's a holiday, it hits you here so much more. So thank you so much. Oh my gosh. Okay, I can't stop without mentioning Jeff Dunn. Grandfather died on Normandy Beach. Man, you know what Normandy Beach is all about. Michael lost those shipmates since he served in one Doring. That's, man, I got to tell you, we forget sometimes. My kids think it's about a day off. So I'll make them watch stuff about Ashley and some other people. Just like on any other holiday that they don't know about as well. On Martin Luther King Day every year, I make them listen to the speech. And it's not even a make anymore. It's all about, they expect it, and it's something special to them. If you go and look at a monument, read those monuments. As Donald Nolan says, and says, well, peace to the fallen. So that's what Memorial Day is. BTSC family, you are the best. Thank you for spending your time with me. I absolutely cherish you. We cannot do it without you. A couple people mentioned to me that they've sent me some emails. I will get back to you. I will check that out. I try to get back to everybody, and I definitely will. So blessings to all. Jeff Dunn, we will remember your grandfather. He's buried on Normandy. We will remember him. Thanks so much for bringing him up. God bless you all. Do 3 things for me. Be safe. Be true to yourself. And always be behind the steel curtain. Happy Memorial Day. I love you.